Michael Douglas, 81, unrecognizable as he plays U.S. President amid shock outburst. A list actor Michael Douglas on the life lessons learned from his father Kirk, how his hair has always been an important part of his acting, and how Jack Nicholson gives him sh*** when Hollywood legend Michael Douglas set off for the Arctic Circle to film his new mini-series Reagan and Gorbachev. It felt like a home from home. For his native New York was colder than Reykjavik, the Icelandic capital, where the summit that ended the Cold War took place 40 years ago. He laughs, having left behind him record-breaking snowfall in the Big Apple. This is so wild. I have, in fact, just measured the temperature in New York, and the Arctic Circle is warmer. Both producing and starring as Reagan in the Paramount TV series, which sees ex-Bond villain Christopher Waltz playing Mikhail Gorbachev, it is based on Ken Edelman's book Reagan at Reykjavik, 48 Hours That Ended the Cold War. And Douglas, 81, admits he and the former movie star president shared something of an obsession with their hair. Reagan was never seen with a single gray hair, and Douglas says, "Hair has always been an important part of my acting. Jack Nicholson always used to give me sh** about my hair and say, 'What is it with this hair acting?' But if you look at Jack, he does more work with the hair." Seen through the eyes of Reagan's arms control director, the new drama explores how the 48-hour summit in Reykjavik in 1986 led to the development of the Mutual Strategic Defense Initiative and the hope of eliminating all nuclear weapons. Married to Welsh actress Catherine Zeta-Jones, 56, it is the latest in a long list of varied roles which display Douglas' incredible skill, playing everything from a lustful cop in Basic Instinct to Liberace and a cheating husband in Fatal Attraction. But for Reagan, he will be drawing on advice given to him over the years by his late father, Hollywood icon Kirk Douglas, who died aged 103 in 2020. Crediting his dad with teaching him to play a villainous and lovable rogue at the same time, he says, "I love the gray area of characters. We all like to see ourselves as the hero, but we have all probably done things that we are not proud about." Dad lived in a generation of good guys and bad guys post the Second World War, and the enemy was defined much more clearly. You either had a white hat or a black hat. For my generation, during the Vietnam War, there was this gray area. Large parts of the population were questioning the war and whether we should have been there. There were protests, and it caused a lot of friction within families, whereas my father played the sensitive young man in several roles. I guess I was first aware of it when I was doing Fatal Attraction. We were having our screening, and in one scene I was having an affair with Glenn Close's character, and I come home and toss my bed around to make it look as if I had slept there, to try and fool my wife, when I hadn't. I remember when we showed that scene the audience laughed and our producer said, "My God, they have forgiven you already. How do you do that? You have just committed adultery." An enviably accomplished film actor, Douglas is also looking forward to marking 40 years since his career-defining role as megalomaniac insider trader Gordon Gekko in the 1987 Oliver Stone masterpiece Wall Street. Luck played a big part in him landing the role of Gekko, who immortalized the 1980s obsession with greed and power. He says, "When Oliver came to me, I was honored and blown away. I have not seen the movie fully in about 40 years, but I saw an article recently which said Oliver first went to Warren Beatty and he passed on it, and then to Richard Gere, who passed on the role. I did not know any of that, as he said I was the one that was chosen. But saying that, how did those poor guys feel when the picture turned out to be what it was? I mean, they must have been like, 'I can't believe this.'" Douglas, who won a Golden Globe for his portrayal of the slick Manhattan trader, relied on help from some of his stockbroker friends to get his character just right. He says, "When I read the script I knew it was serious work, so I was really happy and excited as it was a great part. You don't get many great parts in your life, and I always try to pick well, having a producer background. I will take whatever part in a movie I think is great, but I thought this was a great part." Oliver was looking for an actor who had some business acumen, So I guess I was right, as I had a film-producing background as well, growing up in New York and having been to prep school. I also had a familiarity with the East Coast and had friends who went into Wall Street. I understood the lifestyle, so I guess that is why he chose me. Back then Wall Street was private equity. They were about people who were putting deals together and not like someone who runs Amazon, Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. Back then they were making a lot of money, but today that looks small. Douglas, who watched some authentic white-collar traders in action ahead of filming, recalls being stunned when tough-talking Oliver Stone quizzed brokers about their trading methods on a site visit. He remembers, "I went to some offices in Los Angeles with Oliver. We were having a nice tour and Oliver suddenly asked, 'Where is the shredder?' I was like, 'Oliver? You don't ask for the shredder.'" Douglas says his friend Pat Riley, president of the Miami Heat basketball team, was the inspiration for the finishing touches to the gecko hairstyle. He says, "I was trying to figure out the right balance, and one of my friends is Pat. Once I went down to see him in Miami, and he likes hot rod cars. I was looking at him in the back seat thinking, his hair is not moving, man. His hair is not moving." Yet, for all his greasiness, Douglas feels he made Gecko a seductive villain. He laughs. "Gecko was a villain, but this just shows you that villains should be seductive. You look at the clothing and they did an excellent job. But after the movie all the real-life Wall St drunken guys came up to me and said, 'You're the man. You're the man.' I remember telling them, no. I was the bad guy. They all used to go, 'No, no, no.' It used to scare the hell out of me, like where we are all going. With the Icelandic winter in full flow, he will be lucky to keep Reagan's slicked-down mop from freezing to his head." Although the native New Yorker, who insists the city is the best in the world, would have found no respite from the freezing conditions at home, with the staggering current snowfall. Douglas, who has an apartment on the Big Apple's Upper West Side, enthuses. "I have been traveling all over the world, and if you talk to anyone when they come to New York, that's it. It is such a reminder of the best in people and the melting pot that we are. I grew up here. New York is the greatest city in the world. I mean, there is no comparison."